Hello and welcome back to Star Citizen. My name is Evenlease, and today on 10 minutes, definitely more, not less, the ANVIL CARRACK, which is right behind me. Let's go ahead and take a look. Alright, welcome back to another review. Really quick, thank you to WinRAR42, Archangel 8, Cypher1, Donkula, and Intruder3 for joining me on today's review of the ANVIL CARRACK. This ship I have not touched in a couple patch cycles, but there has been some changes since the last time I have. So we'll go over everything, what I like, what I don't like. Of course, it's just my opinion. If you agree, great. If you don't, I mean, that's great too. Otherwise, I'll give you the stats for everything here in just a moment. This ship is currently wearing, during this review, the 2950 Best in Show paint. It's one of my favorites with the white with the gold accents. It looks fantastic. So this ship is $600 if you were to buy it on the pledge store. And if you were to get it in a game, you definitely can. It is 34,398,000 aUEC. This is an exploration ship, one of the first big ones to come to the verse, and it is just fantastic. I cannot wait to see a lot of the gameplay elements on it come to life. Do you like exploring, but you feel like you're stuck on the ground behind maybe 6 wheels or even 4? Well, pump those brakes, because here's the ANVIL CARRACK ready for those exploration needs. It is going to be great, which we'll talk about some of that during this review. Now, it does have a 48 minute and 18 second claim time, or if you were to expedite it, it is 16 minutes and 6 seconds, which is actually not too terrible given the size of this ship and everything that it's capable of, which is quite a bit. Let's talk about its capabilities really quick. You can load up a ground vehicle or multiple. You can load up an aerial vehicle, typically something like the C8 Pisces or the C8R Pisces, like the medical variant. That's typically the size range you're looking at. You could squeeze a couple other ships in there, but it can be quite a tight fit. You can do tons of cargo, and we'll talk about the amount of cargo you can do. Even though the cargo pods aren't 100% of what they're supposed to be just yet, they'll get there sooner or later in another patch. And then of course, its main gameplay sake is going to be long distance or long range exploration, which right now, of course, we don't have that. We only have 2 systems and nothing's really unknown in the game. Maybe someday we'll get some unknown points of interest that you can only find using a ship like this. And then you can maybe, save it, download it, put it on systems for people to purchase and download. I think that would just be really cool gameplay element out there someday, right? So now this ship, the pilot, they used to never have any sort of, damage at all. They had no control over guns, no missiles, nothing like that. But now, ever since the last big patch, this ship does have access to the pilot has access to the top turret when it's unmanned. So that top turret, which is a remote turret, by the way, is now slave to the pilot, giving them 1,636 pilot damage per second, and that's burst damage per second due to the 2 size 4 CF447 Rhinos. 2 really great guns, and honestly, I wouldn't trade those out for anything, because if you're getting attacked by a player, that's going to be the round type or the laser type that you want to have on your ship. Even though there are so many cool different weapons out there with different effects and everything, this just the winner is going to be the CF for now. Now, like I said, the pilot has no missiles. There's no missiles on this ship, which is honestly too bad. I think an exploration ship like this, just kind of like in Constellation, right? Even the Constellation Taurus has missile pods that deploy. I think it would be really cool to see, but like some people say, not every ship needs missiles. Not every ship needs guns. It's just it's that type of ship. But it is a long-range explorer of the unknown, so every capable defense would be nice. Now, you do have 3 other turrets that are manned turrets, 1 on each wing and then 1 underneath that also have CF447 rhinos, giving you a total of 6 more CF447 rhinos, outputting 4,908 burst turret damage per second. Tried to say turret and burst at the same time. That didn't go too well. Now, this ship defensively, you do have 2 size 3 industrial grade B shield generators, outputting 126,800 quadrant shield, which is a fantastic amount of shields. It's really good. It's high up there. It's going to keep your ship safe, from the majority of things. Ballistics right now get a 50%, punishment anyways. So even if they go through the shield, it's 50% of the damage, doesn't even affect you. But 126,000 is definitely not bad for this ship. The biggest problem this ship has is its health pool. It sits at 88,000 ship HP, which is quite a small amount of HP compared to the size of the ship and what it's meant to do. If anything, it needs to be about triple, if not quadruple that, given the size of this ship. It's not a constellation, yet it has less HP than a constellation. It's not a Star Lancer, yet it struggles to keep up with a lot of these ships that are half, if not much smaller than that, in size and capability. This ship is closer to something like a Reclaimer, or, not really an Idris per size, but, it's heading that direction. So its HP should probably be closer to the 2, 3, maybe even 500,000 mark. Honestly. But again, my opinion on that, I was hoping that it would get an upgrade sooner rather than later, but we still yet to see it, and we are in game version 4.2.1. Now, once you get outside of your shield generation and your ship HP, you got to look at your ship speed, which is also quite surprisingly slow given the size of the engines on the back of your ship. You're sitting at 140 SCM with a 315 forward boost and a 160 backwards boost with a top nav speed of 1,050. Now, that nav speed is over 1,000, but your SCM speed, when you have to have your shields up for now, it's sitting at 140. So you're just literally the slowest moving target in space compared to so many ships around you, including the Star Lancer got a speed buff. This ship didn't. The Constellation sits at faster speed. There's so many ships out there, like I said, that are smaller, that are faster, and which is surprising because the size of the engines on this boat, even after its redevelopment and, not the original concept, are still massive, and this ship should be able to move probably closer to the 180, 190 mark. 190 might be a little excessive, but maybe about 170, 180 would probably be a lot better for this ship, and I would love to see that. Now, its maneuverability is about on par for big ships, sitting at 16, 16, 30 pitch yaw roll, or boosted 19, 19, 36. It's a big ship. It's not supposed to be extremely maneuverable because, how overpowering would that be if you had a ship like this fully manned, outputting, over 5,000, probably over 6,000 burst damage per second, and then you're really maneuverable. It's not something you want to see with any ship. You don't want a ship like this that's supposed to be out there long distance exploration, overly offensive because of the fact of how capable it is in the maneuverability department, right? So that sits at a good range. I do like that. No hits for me on that. And then you're looking at your countermeasures, which I believe is size 2 countermeasures with 25 flares and 10 decoys. I don't like the low amount. I mean, if you think about it, if I'm going to go the distance in something like this, in space, going from planet to planet, system to system, to the unknown, I want to have the best amount of defensive capability as possible. And you even have something like a drone room on here that could, potentially launch a drone that has machine guns or bombs or something on it, right? Which helps in your defensive nature. Or maybe it's just only going to be able to launch repair drones. We'll see, but it's still just a question of how defensive is this ship in that situation of you run into a new alien race, or you run into the Vanduul, or you run into something out there, and you don't really have the defensive nature to really stand up to that. So why are you out there? Now, this ship does have 360 SCU of hydrogen fuel and 10.6 SCU of quantum fuel. So fantastic all around. That is an amazing amount for both of them, especially given the role of the ship, which I've mentioned already 12 times. Make sure you're taking a shot every time I do. Exploration out there, long distance. So no complaints in that. So let's go ahead and take a look at the interior of this ship, starting off, of course, with the only ground entrance, which I hate when I have to say that. This is the only ground entrance to this ship here, is a front ramp. Now, there are other means to getting on this ship, but this is the only one from the ground, unless you're very, able to launch yourself up to a docking collar, or maybe, pole vault over to the hangar on top. But once you get on in here, this is very capable of putting a ground vehicle or multiple ground vehicles, depending on what you want to carry. Now, does it carry a tank? No. Does it carry a ballista? No. Does it carry something like what you see in front of me, a Lynx? Absolutely. You can also carry an ROC, allowing you to go ahead and do ground mining, or, you know, a multitude of other functions like combat vehicles of the smaller size, like the Cyclone with, you know, anti-air turrets and stuff on it. And then you have nice little parking shield, I like to call it, or your FPS shield, to where if someone's breaching your ship, you can literally sit behind you with a rifle and hopefully have a defensive capability while on your ship, which is quite nice. Once you get into this garage here, your top, the way to close this door here is press F. I don't know why I was about to say your top speed again, but yes, you close the door here with F and that'll close that on up. You have some nice lighting around here. You do have a relay, and then of course to shut that panel or to open it, you go ahead and hit the button right there. It is pretty nice, so I like that. Over to the left, you do have a emergency service ladder. If you go ahead and hit F there, you'll be taken into a room here, which is quite creepy, but nice. You can hide away over here and climb that ladder. It should take you to every floor of the ship. Before, it only took you to only a couple of the floors, but now I think you have access to that last one. Now, if you go through the main door, once you're in the hangar here, if you look to your right, this is your docking collar, where you're gonna have a bunch of suit lockers here, and potentially someday maybe storage. But right now you have suit lockers, which you can open up, can't do anything with. And then you have your docking collar, which does not work yet for this ship, but it's just nice to have if you ever wanna go EVAing and you don't wanna open up a big old hangar door. This is where you would do that. Surprisingly, not really allowing me to do that. Let's see here. Oh, there we go. Just hitting F on it instead of trying to find a prompt would be the way to go. So that worked out, and that's pretty nice. So when you're EVAing out there, you don't have to worry about opening up all your big doors, and I do like that. Right here is your main elevator. Once you get onto the ship, you turn left, you hit the button, it will bring your elevator down, and you can access majority of the floors. There's one floor that you can't access from this elevator, but I'll show you how to do that. First, let's go ahead and take a look at the cargo capability. This ship has 456 cargo that you can put on the grid, which is done right here on the floor and on the floor over here. And then of course you got this massive catwalk that overtakes the top here in the middle. So it kind of can complicate things a little bit. But now you can actually open up the side doors here, which is really cool. Someday, I think this whole pod is supposed to lower to the ground, allowing a lot easier, access to putting your cargo containers or ground vehicles or whatever you want to put here. But as of right now, the doors only open on the side, allowing for you to put cargo in from the side, which is really cool. That's a new feature just recently, a couple patches ago, which I think I talked about in the last review, but I do love that. It really is starting to show that they are, coming back here and there to some of these ships and starting to get their features or their intended features in. And of course, each area does have a an elevator that can take you down there so you can expect the cargo, which you can go ahead and take down using this. But we'll go ahead and continue through each door here, each cargo pod. It's really nice. 456 is definitely a great amount of cargo for a ship like this, going the distance in long range exploration. Now, once you get through all your cargo pods and you turn right or left, you have suit lockers on the walls, as well as ammo and weapon storage. Right here, you go ahead and open that up. You can store weapons, you can store tractor beams, you can store all sorts of things to go ahead and assist you in your ventures. There's some over there, and then on the opposite side, same deal. So you go ahead and open that up, and it is quite nice. You gotta love to see that, because having weapons on an exploration ship is my key to success, honestly, because nothing worse than encountering a new alien race without the ability to defend yourself. So let's go ahead and put those back away so nobody knows where they're at. And if you make your way, this here is your, your big elevator. Let's call it the service elevator. The elevator you want to take if you're going to put things on certain floors for like the kitchen, the doctor's office. This is the one you're going to want to take. And then if you want to get to the very top of the ship, the cartography deck, you're going to be taking this elevator as well. So we'll go ahead and check that out here in just a moment. Now on each side is a door that continues further back into the ship. We'll go ahead and check that out really quick. This leads to the aft turret. So this one here will take you straight on down to the bottom turret. You can go ahead and take a look and have a great time on that, defending your lovely ship. And then you have a relay station here right across from it. So I will tell you, this thing has quite a bit of relays, sitting at a total of 9 relay stations and only 4 fire extinguishers that I could find so far. But Yeah, pretty good amount of relay stations. 9 of them. This is going to need a pretty good crew of engineers on this ship just to make sure it stays afloat without having to have one person run all the way across the ship. Now we're back at the entrance here where we first started. We're going to go ahead and take this elevator up to the second floor, which is your habitation or flight deck. So let's go ahead and make our way up here. Once we get to this deck, we're going to make a right turn to head to the bridge. So we're going to check this area out first. The first door to your right is going to be your living area, as well as a little bit of pocket where I just got rained on. It's like right here. Yeah. And so if you turn right, this is, as it says, toilet. So you got a nice mirror here that doesn't work, or I'm a vampire. No, I won't be telling you my secrets today with some toilets, which I will not be going in to check out, but it looks pretty nice. Really nice lighting. Yeah, all the lights are on in this ship. And then you have a lot of set dressing going on. You have pool balls, you got coffee cups. Every table in this ship seems to be occupied by something because they set dress this back before, they had these things out here without actually things on them. It looks nice, but in reality, I just wish these things worked. I wish I could come back here and play around a pool. I don't think it would work too well with the balls we have on the table, but it would be still kind of fun. And then if you make your way through here, you do have where your crew is going to be staying. So sleeping, hanging out, just chilling. You got a fire extinguisher, a little bit of a lighting issue in here. I feel like this shouldn't be as dark as it is. And then you have your, of course, being able to store stuff, your storage lockers. You got 3 on the wall here. You got another 2 over here. And then you have a nice little couch, nice leather, really nice. More bed right there. No beds everywhere. I mean, it's a good amount of beds for the crew that you're going to have on this ship. And then over here, you have your shower. So it is split from the toilets, which is nice because you don't really want to crap where you clean, right? So another mirror, more doors. The showers look fantastic as always. Anvil does great work on their ships. It's almost like a Crusader ship in a way. They're a very clean room, very nice, really nice structure. I do like that. So let's go ahead and make our way across the way, and that's going to be the eating area of this ship. So we'll make our way, open the door here, another fire extinguisher, and your kitchen where you're going to have a lot of what's going on your ship. So again, a lot of set dressing. There's books on the table. These drinks are ours, of course, but a lot of this stuff will hopefully disappear in the future when we get the ability to actually sit down, grab a drink out of this fridge, and enjoy a good time here without all this stuff in the way. So that'll be pretty nice. Now, if we make our way through this door, we'll go ahead and go to the captain's quarters, and then we'll check out the bridge really quick and make our way to the rear end of the ship. So if we walk through here, this is the captain's quarters. Nice little window there, nice screens all around. You have a chessboard, you have books, you have a lot of set dressing, but it does look really nice, including, of course, the chessboard. So you got to walk around with the chessboard. If you're not walking around with the chessboard, you're just not doing it right. But as you can tell, this is already prepping you for pizza delivery. So you go ahead and just be like, hey, got your pizza. Where do you want it? Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and set that down. But yeah, I'm just gonna set it like that. That's proper. And then if we walk through here, you do have, of course, the area that the captain's going to sleep. Quite a small bed. If you are over 5'7", you're pretty much not going to fit on this, but it looks pretty nice. Nice little bed here. And of course, more storage. Open that up for the captain. Captain needs his own storage. Little area for some clothes, and then a personal bathroom with a toilet and a shower. Of course, you want to stay away from that until you can actually do your business, but keep yourself clean. Keep yourself clean. Take a shower. It's good for your armor. You don't want to stink it up in there. And then if you walk through the door, go ahead and get out of here. You're now out of the captain's quarter, which looks fantastic. And then you're going to make your way to the bridge. This is where you're going to have the operation of your ship. You're going to be flying it, having your co-pilots here right from this main floor here. And then you have certain areas that are more components around. There are some components up here, including another hidden relay station. Gotta love that. And, some open doors that you can open that don't have anything behind them yet, other than just some fake stuff here, fuel ports and all that. But it does look pretty nice. Maybe you need a little bit of an upgrade in lighting here. I just feel like for a bridge of a ship, it is kind of dark in here. And you got a nice fire extinguisher here. But again, the lighting could maybe lose just a little uptick. Pilot seat. Co-pilot seat. Honestly, you don't need these 2 seats occupied at all. You can just occupy the pilot seat and you should be good. And then this will take you to the command deck right above you, which you can also fly the ship there, but we'll take a look at that here in just a second. Let's go ahead and walk over to the next rooms on this deck. This is your medical quarters. Yes, this ship does have a medical quarters, and this is like a clean room. You would close the door, it would spray you down, you'd be good to enter, and you'd enter your medical room where you have a bed to your right, a bed to your left. These are not medical beds. They are just here for the comfort of laying down and relaxing. Your only medical bed is right here in front of you. This is your medical bed where you can go ahead and take care of injuries or set your spawn, which is always good to have. And then I hit the wrong button there, but if you go ahead and go on screen here, open that up, it'll tell you you can set your spawn, you can go ahead and take care of a patient in there. It is a tier 2 bed as seen at the top of the screen. So tier 2 injuries, tier 3 injuries, you should be good to go, but tier 1, sorry, can't do it. You're just gonna have to get shipped back home 88 billion miles away. So you have a nice area here full of all sorts of stuff for your doctor to take care of their patients. This is well equipped, a very well equipped medical room compared to something like the Polaris. This is quite phenomenal. I wish we had more set dressing like this in a ship like the Polaris until we can actually occupy all these spaces with our own things. It is quite nice. It makes the ship feel alive, whether you're solo or you're out there multi-crew in a ship. It's just nice to see. Now, when you're looking at the medical room, you have a door to your left, a door to your right, but then you have this door here, as well as another relay. This door goes to that emergency ladder, so you can go up and down, do what you need to do, which is fantastic. Love that that works. Now, let's go through the door to the right here, and we're gonna go down this long hallway. You got your frosted glass, can't see what's going on in there. Privacy of the patient, gotta love it. And these are replicated hallways. So this goes to the back elevator, which this time, we're gonna go ahead and take this elevator because we're gonna check out the next floor instead of running all the way to the front of the ship. Next floor is the technical deck. So we'll go ahead and hit that. So technical means that when you get to this floor, you have to be technical about everything because if you're not, you're doing it wrong. So once you get in here, you can see you do have the top hangar here where we have a medical Pisces currently parked and receiving some attention from our crew here, making sure that they're taking care of everything and checking every dotting every I and crossing every T to make sure everything is proper. Now, if we walk through the doors right when you get off the elevator, left or right, this is where you're gonna have your turret access. So your port turret's over here, and it looks pretty cool. It's very, very like Star Wars, very walking into the turret of the dark side. You know, you're just waiting for Palpatine to come over, you know, in narration about how they're gonna rule the verse. But it's not gonna happen, but you can play it in your own head. Other side is mirrored the same way, which is quite nice. And then if you walk through here, you do have another relay, another fire extinguisher, and an engineer terminal because you have engineering, which currently is kind of bugged in the back. As you can see visually through this window, everything kind of goes wonky. So I always love seeing it. And then you walk through the doors that actually lead to engineering. Looks fine until you get to the very back. The ladder is currently having some issues. It's supposed to go all the way to the ground, but currently it's going all the way through the ceiling. So, you know, be careful. It does still work though. You can climb on it and go down, no problem. There are some components littered all over this space, so some up here, but the majority is on the bottom floor. So we'll go ahead and take this little elevator. This ship is just littered in elevators. They love them. They love them on this ship. So you go ahead and go here. You do have a lot of your component access. You can go ahead and hit any of these little pads on here and it'll open up these components doors, which looks pretty good. And then you're like, wow, no relays back here? Well, there is, but we just haven't gotten there yet. But the components here, engines are here. It's a really nice room. Again, I don't think any engineer should be really working in this dark of an environment, especially when you're trying to work on engines and stuff. It just seems kind of frightening to me. So we'll go ahead and open this door, which will lead you to more power sources, more components, the fuel tank, as well as another relay. So there's a relay there. On the opposite side, it is completely mirrored. Another relay on that side. Let's go ahead and get back to our upper engineering floor and make our way through the rest of the technical deck. So technically, we're moving along. We're gonna go through this door. This is the starboard turret. So you just go ahead and hop on there. Looks pretty good. And then of course you got your doors that actually lead into the hangar bay, which of course I gotta show you that. To get in here and, you know, check out the ship you have or go ahead and fly out, fly in. This is the area you're gonna have to do that. You don't have any sort of garage door opener, which is honestly too bad. I wish we did. Because right now you can't open the doors from your Moby or anything, but ships like this definitely deserve the ability. Honestly, any ship with a door that's accessible should be accessible via your Moby glass, so maybe one day. And here is how you open the door, other than open all at the cockpit. Go ahead and hit F, and that will open this hangar door. It is really nice, able to fit a nice little ship in here to shuttle you back and forth from, you know, atmosphere or whatever you're doing in the situation. So you can leave this as a mothership out in space, which is really cool. But again, no garage door opener. So you either have a second person with you or you're launching, getting out, getting in, shutting the door, getting out, getting in. It's kind of a frustrating experience at times and quite time consuming. Now, if we make our way down here, this is the elevator at the front of the ship. And then the first room to our right should be your drone room. Of course, every doorway seems to have a water leak, so we'll get that inspected. But here is your drone room where the drone operators would sit in the seat here or over there, and the drones would launch here out of the ship. Repair drones, scout drones, maybe personal attack attack drones like guns or bombs or missiles. We don't know if this ship will be capable of that, but it definitely will be capable of scout, exploration drones, and repair drones. And then if we make our way through here, and by the way, those seats don't trap you anymore. We did test it. Nice little windows here, making it kind of creepy looking. Here is your repair room. This is so when you're out in long explorations doing things and something breaks on your ship, you're going to work in the dark, except for with your somewhat lit table down there. You're going to put some things in here. Pretty much every component on the ship is way too big for this, but you can repair other things, weapons, armor, whatever you need to repair, maybe a broken button or something on your ship. You're going to put it in here, hit the repair button, you know, work on things on the table. It'll be pretty nice and you'll be able to take care of stuff. You know, sometimes the crew gets a little heated though, so you might want to stay away from them because they do like to stand around and hold knives. So if you have that problem on your ship, you might want to get that checked. Now, if you make your way through the bridge, you do have some escape pods left, right, and they are lit up nice and red just to remind you just how screwed you are when you're in the situation to use them. Now, like I said, when you're in the bridge area, there is a small elevator that you can take from the down, you know, the bottom floor all the way up here. And this is like your command deck where your commander will probably be standing and getting water on them. This ship's got a lot of cracks and leaks, don't it? The left one, the right one, they're both occupying a seat that's going to have some sort of turret access, like a remote turret on the top of the ship, or just assisting with other things on the ship. This ship doesn't have any tractor beams, by the way. And here's like a little cartography, planning out what you're doing, you know, sit here and map your stuff. But this is like a command station where you can actually fly the ship. So think of like a boat out in the water. Sometimes boats have multiple areas you can move it around. This one can do that. You can go ahead and hop on here and you can regain control of your ship, take off, land, do what you need to do everything from this. And some say they like to do it from this deck more than the deck below, which has quite a nice view, so I definitely wouldn't say that's a bad thing. Now, if we make our way outside of this door, we're gonna go ahead and hit the last floor of this ship, and then we'll head into the cockpit and just take a quick look at that. No, you know, PvE combat with this ship, just because it's not really meant to go out there and do that. I mean, do people do it? Yes. It is very capable. You have no worries. If you want to go out there and PvE, you know, go out on a PvE bounty hunt, or if you want to go do something in a bunker, this is a very capable ship. So you definitely don't need me to show you that. It is fantastic. It looks great. Multi-crewing this thing is just great. This is your cartography deck. So when you come in here, this is just a beautiful room where you're going to plan out the adventures and exploration and mapping of, you know, the verse out there. You're going to jump to different systems and map them. You're going to do it right here. It's going to look fantastic. It's going to be a great time. Another relay station, by the way. The crew is hard at work in here making sure that we're mapping our next adventure. But if you make your way out the next door, this one here or over there, kind of the same door, leading to the same situation, you do have a nice view out the window, and then another escape pod for the crew that might be working up here, replicated each side, and then 2 suit lockers because you can actually go out the airlock here, another exit entry to the ship. And you can either take a look at who is on the elevator, which this wall used to be walked through, no longer, thank you. Or you can take a look at who's landing in your ship. So always nice to have this view of who's landing in your Carrack, because if you don't know, it might be a problem. And then, of course, you can actually exit right here. So if you need to repair something on the exterior of the ship, you can definitely do that. It just might be a bit windy, snowy, cold, raining. I don't know. You just got to be careful about where you do that. Though, let's go ahead and go back inside because I'm starting to get a little cold. And we'll go ahead and sit down in the pilot seat, which I'll show you that run really quick. And then we will check out one more feature that they added to this ship just recently with the cargo pods. So one thing I'll say is they have the cargo pods that open the doors. They don't drop down yet. We'll get there. Remember, flight deck is habitation deck. Surprisingly, habitation flight. Yeah. So we'll head to the habitation deck and we'll get into the pilot seat. But the original concept of this ship had what's called like a blast shield on the front, or, you know, an environmental shield, whatever you want to call it. It's supposed to help the pilot of the ship and the crew of the ship survive heavy radiation zones, heavy atmospheric zones, or just pure on combat with your ship. You go ahead and head into your pilot seat. Let's go ahead and sit down and take a look at everything here. Really quick, the MFDs, just the way it looks. You got your roller coaster seat thing that keeps you harnessed in, and then you have your systems here. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this on and take a look at how this ship is sitting. Right now, you can actually, wow, it's a very capable ship, only 1 point off the cooler. Otherwise, you have full systems, so power distribution looks good. This is the setup of this ship. So the MFDs, 3 up top, including, you know, of course, your radar down below, which looks fine, and has a pretty nice, you know, overall look to it. So we'll take a look around here. Left is power on, engine on. Right side is open exterior. If I hit right click, you got press to unlock, close exterior, and open exterior. And then, of course, we're gonna over here, look over here, nothing there, nothing here. Of course, there's no way to deploy any sort of, you know, you can't like eject. That would be insane if you could. But then we would want to look for, where is our deploy button? There it is. I saw it. It's a hiding from me. So I'll hit that and it will pull that lever right on up and deploy your shielding on your cockpit, which looks really cool. Changes the lighting a little bit. Quite interesting that it leaves the direct front open. I was hoping for a little bit of camera technology and conceal this thing altogether. But I think as long as this protects you the way it should, then that's fantastic. But it does look pretty nice, especially from the outside. If you saw from during some of the the B-roll footages from the exterior, fantastic look. So I'm gonna go ahead and take off really quick and put up the landing gear. As you can see, the landing gear do go down and the wings rotate. It does look pretty cool. We'll go ahead and launch on out of Microtech. We're getting in a very dark snowstorm, so it doesn't look too pretty here. We'll launch out of here and I'll give you my score. All right, so overall, the ANVIL CARRACK for me is an 88 out of 100, just based off of what you can do in the game right now. I mean, there's still quite a bit you can do. You can do cargo, you can go out there and do some PvE combat, you could potentially even kill some targets in PvP if you have your ship fully manned. But you just have to be careful with that, you know, low health pool, and then when you're out there doing your, you know, PvE or exploration or rock mining, you have a fantastic ship with you, and it is just such a great time, especially with that medical room. The ability to carry another vehicle on, you know, a ground vehicle as well as an aerial vehicle is just a fantastic time. So again, an 88 out of 100. Let me know, what do you think of the ANVIL CARRACK and the direction it's heading, and what do you expect out of exploration in the future? Let me know what you think of the video. Thank you for watching. I really hope you enjoyed. And of course, thanks to all my supporters, members out there in YouTube, Patreon, Twitch, everything. You guys are truly amazing. And I'll see you all tonight during the live stream. Thank you for being here and have a good one. Whoa. Ooh.